Raiders! It's Raiders Fan Radio, a podcast by Raiders fans for Raiders fans who are the only fans that matter. That's right, Murf and Sonny from the Dago Dungeon. You got it right here, live.
Touchdown! Kenny Stabler goes all the way.
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
Well, I think this team can win too, Al. And if the Raiders hope to have any playoff hopes after next week, they need to continue to win against those pesky chefs out there in Kansas City. Welcome in to the first ever live video stream recording. That's right. We're going the likes of Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen with episode number 57 of Raiders Fan Radio. That's right. This is the which player, Murf? Which player is this?
I don't know. Did we talk about that yet?
I already got it figured out.
Let's say this then. Let's go Violator.
57.
Yeah, let's go Violator because I think
I didn't even think of that.
I'm going super fan, man. I'm going Violator.
Okay. I was going Jerry Robinson.
Jerry Robinson, Violator. Great player, but Jerry Robinson's never been on Raiders Fan Radio. Violator
has. That's true. So this is episode 57. This is the Violator episode. Nice. That's right, our good friend of the show, the Violator. And Josh, we have I have so many screens going on right now. I don't know what to do first. We got a guest host. We got another guest host. We enjoyed it last week so much with Kevin from Raider Ramble.
Micah from Raider Ramble.
Micah from Raider Ramble. We invited on good friend of the show. Met him at the Tennessee Titans game back when everybody still thought the Raiders were going to run the table. And then we seen him driving on the road, Murph, just randomly driving on the road. Kevin, sorry, I'm going to butcher your name, Reitzel. Is that how you say your last name? That's right. Yeah. Kevin Reitzel, a.k.a. Kevin the Raider Nerd. Welcome to the show,
What's up, guys? How's it going, man? Your intro, man, always gets me pumped up. And by the way, I'm wearing something special for you guys. Check it out.
Don't snatch his chain, Nerd.
I got my Crabtree jersey on, and it comes with a chain.
Love it. How you
guys doing, man?
Matt, we're doing great, and I'm glad you liked the intro to the show with Uncle Mosh's voiceover, because Uncle Mosh was over earlier today, and he said, "Who you got this week?" I said, "We got Kevin the Raider Nerd coming on." And he said, "Oh man," he goes, "I want to record an intro for him." And I said, "Okay." So we flipped on the mics here in the Raiders Fan Radio studio, and this is what we got.
I'm scared.
Put down your Cheetos, pass the nachos. Pay attention, boys and girls. We got us a rumble tonight. That's right, in this corner, you got the two slick and sassy, bald-headed bimbos, Sonny and Murf, taking on Kevin, the Raider Nerd. You know Kevin, he loves movies. He loves the Oakland Raiders, long walks on the beach, Star Wars, Star Trek, Highlander, and all things nerdy. He's the co-founder of Fandom Podcast Network and Blood of Kings. He's got Fandom Podcast Network. It contains shows with pop culture, covering a variety of stuff. Stuff like Blood of Kings, Culture Clash, Couch Potato Theater, Time Warp, Good Evening Podcast, Discoville, and The End Zone. That's all things NFL and fantasy football. And we love us some fantasy football. Stay tuned, boys and girls. It's fixing to get real nice.
Hey, is Uncle Mosh adopting, man? That was fantastic, man. Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I am honored.
You know, Uncle Mosh, I think he found his calling, Murph. I think he found his calling.
Yeah, the voiceovers for podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a free gig, and you don't move very much. You just got to sit around and talk. But man, it works for him. It works good.
So, Kevin, did we miss anything there? Tell us a little bit about what you do. Tell us where folks can find you. Tell us about your Raider fandom, all that good stuff.
My Uncle Mosh covered quite a bit there. I'm the co-founder of the Fandom Podcast Network and a co-host of several shows there, including Culture Clash, our weekly fandom show, talking about all things nerdy, all the nerdy, geeky news, and we're going to be covering Star Wars a lot very soon here. And I'm also the co-host of Blood of Kings, our Highlander podcast, which I don't know if you guys know this, but the John Wick director, Chad Stahelski, he's going to be helming the new Highlander film after he finishes John Wick 3, so we're really excited about that.
Those are great movies. I just watched those for the first time recently. They're fantastic. Fantastic.
Love
movies.
John Wick. So I'm really excited about that. Also co-host Disco, which is our Star Trek Discovery and Orville podcast. And we got other great shows on there. Like Uncle Mosh said, we got Couch Potato Theater where we celebrate old movies we like to watch on the couch. We don't get up for. Time Warp, looking back on fandoms. Right now, we're looking back at all the movies of 1987, 30 years ago. Feel old yet?
Yeah.
and of course, we got Good Evening, which is our Alfred Hitchcock podcast. And of course, as you know, End Zone, our weekly football look back. We look back on the recent games and look forward to the next one. And we give the best mediocre fantasy football advice.
So what is it like now? Look, it's easy for me to do a football podcast because my cousin and good friend Sonny is a diehard Raider fan. Your co-host is a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I love Kyle to death though, because when it comes to the nerd stuff, we are like this, and we get each other. But when it comes to football, man, and those weeks that we play the Chiefs, which happens to be this week, it gets interesting. But Kyle's a good guy. He's just got one major, huge flaw.
Well, Kevin, appreciate you joining us. Where can people find information about your show on the interwebs?
Just look Fandom Podcast Network. Obviously, we're on Facebook as well, and you can find that also on Podbean.com. That's where you can stream all of our shows, and you can find me directly on Instagram and Twitter at Spartan_Phoenix, and that's a Demolition Man reference in case you didn't get that.
So
remember Demolition Man? Remember that?
Yeah. And I remember we talked before, and you said you knew what the shells were for, but you weren't going to tell me.
No, no, I'm in the know. You're not. You just got to keep guessing.
Murf, I don't know if we can keep going unless I know what the shells are for. We might
Don't you wipe your culo with those things or something?
How? They're hard. Anyway, all right, let's get into this here. So, Kevin, you're going to join us for the Sea of Fans mailbag, which is where we listen to callers from around the country. They call in, they give us feedback about the previous game, and we just talk about it, and the Raiders in general. So usually Murf will play the call, he'll lead into it, I'll give a comment on it, and then it goes back to Murf. So this time he'll lead it in, I'll comment on it, me and you go back and forth, and then we'll go on to the next one here. But before we get into the Sea of Fans, Uncle Mosh every single week does a brand new voiceover for where people can find out more information about our show. And I think, Murf, you have the latest edition of that right now, don't you?
I do. And in fact, I'm going to have another one to follow up with after that. But here's the first one.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. That's right. Somebody actually claims Sonny and Murf. These two. Check them out on their website, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can friend them on Facebook at RaidersFanRadio, or you can like their fan page at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Hey, I don't tweet. I don't even know how to use a Twitter, but they do. You can tweet them at Raiders Fan Radio. Call them. Leave a voicemail if you want. Go old school. 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Hey, do this. Please subscribe and rate Raiders Fan Radio on iTunes. You can listen to the show on all podcast services like Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many, many more. Okay, am I done? Did I say all the stuff I was supposed to say? All right, I'm out of here.
All right. Thanks again, Uncle Mosh, for that lovely intro music. All right, Murf, we'll jump into See It Fans mailbag. After that, we'll go into 3 reasons. I'll give 3 reasons why the Raiders could lose to the Chiefs. And then you'll give 3 reasons why the Raiders should throttle. I just made up a new word, wallop and throttle. Should like throttle. That's a good one. Should throttle the Chiefs this week. And then after that, I believe you have a black hole.
I do.
Of the internet that you're going to share with us. And then we'll see how it goes from there. So the pause is important.
Yes,
all
yes.
Right.
It's all about the comma. All right.
Well, let's talk about the game. Well, you want to talk about the game real quick? Or you just want to go into See It Fans?
That's up to you. It's up to Kevin. What do you want to do, Kevin? You want to talk about the Chiefs game?
I want to talk about the game first.
Okay. So, Kevin, good win, bad win, it doesn't matter. What do you think?
It was a good win, but, one of my biggest pet peeves of the Raiders, and I can't even remember the last time that they put their foot down on their opponent's neck and ran away with the game. And we had a chance to do that this game, and they kind of let him get back in. And what's up with Jared Cook? I know he got hurt a little bit, came back to the game. Man, he should have been the leading receiver for that game.
Yeah, I don't know if they took him out and focused on Walford, but it definitely seemed like he was irrelevant for the game. I heard earlier today that he got hurt, and that's why he wasn't featured in the game. Were you expecting to see more of him? Yeah,
definitely more targets. Even before he got hurt, there was still a lot of game time to be played, and I don't know what was going on there. But to me, Carr looked a little off to me, but at least we had the running game going. The defense was playing pretty well for a while there.
It was nice to see Lynch start out big, right? Like I think he had the first 3 carries of the game, a couple yards, and then hit that 51-yarder. I think he got hurt. But then after that, it seemed like the offense kind of just sputtered. Luckily, the defense seemed to be playing with a little more intensity, if you will. I read a good article today from Jerry McDonald from the Mercury News, and he made both points. He said the defense has been playing better over the last 2 weeks, but we've also been playing Paxton Lynch and Geno Smith. So it was a tempered reaction to it. It was a tempered, yes, they're better, but easy. They're not the greatest thing since sliced bread yet. And he also made the point, we're going to find out how good this defense is real quick with Alex Smith, Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, and then Josh's favorite, Phillippe Rivers, the next 4 weeks.
What do you think? Quarterback in the history of quarterback.
Kevin, do you think the defense has made great strides, or is it more of just Paxton Lynch and Geno Smith?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I mean, for the defense to kind of get back on track and build some confidence, it's nice to play against teams that aren't, I'm going to say, elite. You got to kind of get in a rhythm, and I think after losing Ken Norton Jr., they're having to try to find that. And I think on teams that aren't good, you got to kind of build on this stuff so that when you start to come across some important divisional challenges and some other good teams, then that's a good thing to do. So, but I want to ask you a quick question. When Marshawn was running for that touchdown, did it look like he was losing steam at the end, or do you think he pulled off on the gas a little bit?
He's 31. I don't know. Me and Josh ran 40-yard dash at Vanderbilt not too long ago, and I'm still recovering from that. So,
yeah, you also recovering from peeling an orange earlier this afternoon too.
Yeah. Had to take an extra break at work because of that. Probably a little bit of both. I think he just ran out of gas, man. I mean, 50 yards when you're 31 and full pads, that's a lot to do for anybody. And this was the first time he's gone over 100 yards since he got out of retirement. So he was the workhorse. It's now in the season where he's going to be expected to be more of a workhorse. I heard he got injured during the tackle, that he kind of slowed down, got hit, wasn't expecting to get hit, and pulled the hamstring or something like that. So I don't know. I think jury's out, but
don't you feel too like they also seems to like they have him on a pitch count? Seems like he comes out for a series and then he takes a series out. Like he's kind of in and out of games a lot more than what you would typically see as far as, I hate to call him a feature back, but you know what I mean? Somebody that's that prominent of a player in your offense. And also too, while we're on the subject of Marshawn, we got to give him props, man. I mean, we've given a lot of criticism to Marshawn on this show, and rightfully so, and I don't think Sonny nor I would take any of it back. That I think all of it during the times of when it happened was all fair. But that all being said, I'm also willing to give the credit to, and he literally carried the team offensively to get it going this week, and it was huge. You know, he doesn't have to, you know, run for 1,400 yards this season and score 30 touchdowns to be an impact player on our offense. When you're talking about a team that's down like the Giants were, and, you know, for where they were vulnerable, he was perfect in this game. And I can't say it enough how thankful I am that he was there. And it's like it hadn't, the things when it was going wrong or it wasn't there and the productivity wasn't there, the team, they never let up, right? Like they, at least if anything, they're staying to that, and now it's showing up. And this is really when we need them most, right? Late in the season, like this was a really good thing that probably was, big picture wise, meant a lot more than just his 100 yards in this particular game, because this is what we're going to need to win in Kansas City, right? Like this is the kind of stuff we're going to need to go on the road and win these big games, to win, you know, to beat the Cowboys and to beat the Eagles, and talk about playing in Philly on Christmas. We're going to need a heck of a running game, and so hopefully this is that starting to now show up and that starting to blossom. So big props to him, man, for carrying us this week.
This is what we had expected, though, wasn't it? We had expected early on in the season. I remember we both said 800 yards, 12, 14 touchdowns. He was going to have a lighter load to begin, and then as the season got tougher, as we got deeper in the winter and the playoffs, he was going to be the workhorse. He did kick butt. The thing I didn't like, though, was it seemed like at some points in the game, our offense wasn't moving unless Marshawn was in the game. Like, we weren't running the ball effectively. How many times did freaking Richard put the ball on the ground, right? It seemed like every other time you turn your head, either him or Holton was dropping it, right? And so it seemed like, to a certain degree, we weren't moving the ball without Lynch in our offense. And so, you know, last year we were great without Lynch, didn't need him. And then this year, now all of a sudden, now we've like hampered ourselves to where we can't move the ball without Lynch. But all that said,
yeah, but hold on though. Is that hampered to where they can't move it without him, or he's just that good that he's the one that's actually creating the? You know what I mean? Because you're right, Richard nor Washington.
Against the Giants, we couldn't move the ball. We needed Lynch that bad against the Giants,
dude. And even in this game, Kevin would tell me what you think. Our offensive line did not get the consistent push up front that we would have liked to see him, right? I mean, how many times did even Marshawn get stuffed in the backfield? Against like Osemele are getting pushed back. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of similar plays running up that gut right there, trying to break some tackles. It just wasn't happening, you know. And then finally, I think he moved to the left or the right. But yeah, you're right. That offensive line wasn't helping.
So then we wrote an article earlier this week about how, you know, to win a game in the NFL, no matter how much we want to clown on the Browns or the Niners or now the Broncos, which is pretty fun, you know, it's still pretty tough to win a game. And so even this is still that we beat the Giants. Giants aren't very good. They fired McAdoo, whatever. But we were missing our starting two top receivers. To win a game without your number one and your number two, that's pretty impressive, I thought. And I think it's more impressive when you think about timing. There was a couple of routes. Carr looked off the first couple times he threw the ball. I think those were timing issues. So to win a game without your starting one and two, that's pretty impressive. And I took away from the game that they were able to focus in a big game. They needed to win, and they got it done. And that to me was impressive. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
Oh, totally. That's why I was a little surprised about Cook at first. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see the other receivers step up. And to have a little bit of a running game there. And so, I mean, and this is how good teams win games. You know, I mean, look at the Patriots. You know, as much as we despise the Patriots, it's always the next man up there. The next man up is usually productive, you know, and that's what you got to do. You got to have everyone on the same page. So when someone comes out, someone can go in and keep the play and keep the drive alive.
Were you disheartened by Holton kind of messing up on quite a few plays?
Yeah, totally. I mean, he showed some promise earlier in the season with that long touchdown run, and you know, holding on to the ball is still an issue with the Raiders, I guess. But you know, some plays were made, and you know, we might eventually you know, score enough points to win the game. The defense was starting to let them back in, but you know, this is one of those things too that as a player, when your top two receivers are out of the game, this is where you make your mark. And I don't know if we saw any of these players make a mark. Seth, of course, is always the other guy. He'll get that other touchdown that Maury and Crabtree don't. But it's one of those things where, like, as someone like myself, if I was in that situation, I would do my best and play my best and just stay focused so I can make my mark and be called up.
What about Patterson? He seems to be emerging a little bit, huh?
I would agree with that, and I like him too. He seems to kind of be an all-around player, which we like. Yeah. And
his hands are surprisingly good. That was like the knock on him, right? Was he had bad hands? Heck, of course, you and I would look good, if we with hands on this team. But he's looking pretty good as far as that goes. Seems pretty consistent.
I agree.
And he's fast, which is fun to watch. Yes. A fast guy run fast.
In a Raider uniform, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. We gotta get Kevin out of here in a certain amount of time. So Murf,
okay.
Without any further fondue, let's jump into the Sea of Fans mailbag.
There he is, fading, looking. He's under the gun. He's caught. He throws. It is. Oh, he caught it.
All right, as we jump into the Sea of Fans mailbag this week, we might as well call this the Sea of Made Men, because I think every single caller, except for our first caller, is a made man here on Raiders Fan Radio. And so we welcome in the first caller, though, is first-time caller Kelly from Sioux Falls.
Hi, this is Kelly with Kelly from Sioux Falls. Just want to, first of all, thank you guys for putting on this podcast. I come across it here about a month ago, and I really enjoy it. Thanks for what you do. Great game on Sunday. It's always great to beat the Broncos. Just a few things I took away from the game. That was, which everyone knows, Aqib Talib's a punk, and good that someone put him in his place a little bit. But I was very impressed with the Raiders and their defensive line play. It was good to see. I think that was helped out by some pretty poor quarterback play by Denver, but hey, we'll take it. Thankful to get the win, and it looks like we got some hope for the rest of the season. We'll see if we can string a few more together and make something out of this season, maybe build some steam going into the playoffs. Thanks again for what you do, and go Raiders.
Go Raiders. Thank you, Kelly from Sioux Falls, for calling in, and thanks for listening. And this wouldn't be fun if nobody listened. So I agree. Aqib Talib is a punk. He was a punk the day after we played the Broncos, and he's still a punk the week after we played the Broncos. Kevin, he mentioned the D-line play. I think it's now 2 weeks into the no Ken Norton Jr. experiment in Oakland. Sacks are up, productivity is up, turnovers are up. Again, is it more of Pagano, or is it more of who we've been playing? Either way, defensive line's playing better along with everybody else. How neat is it to finally see Autry stepping up and Irvin too as well, right? I mean, where was Irvin?
Yeah, I love to see Irvin. That was great. And Matt getting that strip sack. Oh, love that. I don't know if it's Pagano. I would love to say, yeah, it is, and it's good, but I just think that it's sometimes change is good, even if you don't know the definitive answer of this particular question you're asking here. And it seems to be that whatever has happened is changing for the good, and I hope it continues because I'm seeing the defense play with a little more zest, and that's what I liked, and that's what I saw out of that game. I mean, that was fantastic.
They're definitely a little more fire. I love that. Irvin had the strip sack, and Bowman recovered the fumble. And then Max it takes two guys to sack him and get a fumble. I'll do it all by myself. It just comes in, just says, hey, y'all, remember me? I'm still the defensive player of the year. That was pretty awesome.
All right, we got one more that didn't make the cutoff from last week, and we're going to hear from him again. This might be the first time we've had a double made man call this week. So anyways, we're going to go to Johnny in San Diego after the Bronco game.
Hey, Sonny and Murf, Johnny in San Diego. Back again, made man, hashtag that. A couple shout-outs. Shout-out to Q-Dot Raider, the only dude that can leave whatever job he has and walk into any radio station, and they will throw him the slow jam hour. No question. And then a shout out to the SC Raider Nation for bringing it. Counting 3 of us. We need some type of nickname or something. Let's work on that. One thought from the Bronco game. Hey, Talib, you thought you were Debo, but you got punked harder than Manti Te'o without caller ID, bro. F that guy. So let's see. For the Giants game, which I'm going to be at, I don't know, Sonny, Murf, this has to be the moment when Todd looks at his play sheet under the section what if, right? I mean, what if? I mean, he's got to be throwing out, hopefully, triple tight ends, running backs in the slot, hidden ball trick, Donald Penn, fullback, something. He's got to throw it all out there because we got no Crab, we got no Coop. So let's see how smart Todd Downing really is. And that's not saying much so far, so let's see what he does. And then lastly, we cannot lose to Ben McAdoo. We cannot lose to the guy that looks like the guy who worked the soft porn section at Blockbuster, bro. Again, we cannot lose to Ben McAdoo. We cannot lose to this guy who looks like the leader of his local IROC car club. We cannot. Go Raiders. Go Nation. We are alive. We are 5-6. 1 game back. Let's go. Raiders.
Johnny and Sandy ain't coming strong.
I love that call.
That call take.
Oh, that was awesome.
We missed him last week. Murf, he wasn't there.
I know. We got a 2 for this week, though, so we're in good shape.
I'm going to be in San Diego in March of this coming year for a training, for a job thing, so maybe we'll have to hook up. Johnny, love it. Love the fire. What do you say? McAdoo looks like the guy who was running the softcore porn section or something like that?
Yeah, the Blockbuster, and also the guy that runs this local IROC car club.
Yeah. But, hey, he made a great point. The Giants, there's nothing more to lose, right? The Raiders have everything to gain and nothing more to lose, so they need to throw in everything. And especially when you're down Crabtree, you're down Cooper. Hey, ever heard of Clive Walford? He had a great game, right? He had a great game. So I agree. I agree with Johnny. There's nothing more to lose.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we got we're gonna go hear from Yayo out there in Central Jersey. He called in at halftime of the game.
Sonny, Murf, what's up, fellas? This is Yayo, once again from Central Jersey. Man, this game is brutal right now. It's halftime. I'm watching the game with my peoples out here, bunch of Giants fans. And essentially, these guys are mad at me right now because we're saving Ben McAdoo's job. This is horrible, man. I'm to the point where, man, I'm a Raider for life, but I don't even want to go to the playoffs, make a fool out of ourselves there, man. It's like, for what? For what, really? JDR got to go. The defense looks better, but still really playing right now. I don't know, man. I hope everything is well with y'all. 2018, let's go Raiders.
2018, let's go Raiders.
All right, yeah. I wish I could say go do some.
I'm going to guess he's in a much better mood now, but with the Raiders winning.
Yes.
And the Giants firing their coach.
Yes, see, everything worked. That's why you never call mid-game. Just always wait until the end.
Right,
Never knew what's going to happen. Because think about it. We talked about Mac's strip sack earlier in the show. If that doesn't happen and the Giants score a touchdown, it was 14-10. And think about the momentum. That's what I think. I mean, football is so much momentum. Mac doing that saved the game, essentially, I think, because that saved momentum. Geno Smith completes a touchdown pass. He has confidence. Giants are fired up in the locker room. We're going in there saying, what the hell's going on? And Giants may come out and, we only won by a touchdown. So Mac doing that saved it. So if anything, halftime should have been happy. Yeah, you're not living up to your name. Your name should be hyper having fun. Wait till the end to call next time. I don't think JDR is going to go anywhere. He has a 4-year contract. I don't think Mark can afford to pay him to get rid of him. I just think we need to bring in some more high caliber coordinators. Kevin, a big controversy or a big topic of debate, especially during the losing streak, was does JDR need to go?
No, absolutely not. I'm sorry. If Marvin Lewis can still have a job after how many years he's been with Cincinnati and not winning a playoff game, I don't. Jack Del Rio, I think, is our coach and should be for a while. He, as you just alluded to, he needs some help, and that's his job, and that is, that's That's Reggie's job to find those people that can help. And it might take a season or two to kind of figure out who they can get and gel. But Jack Del Rio, I think he should stay.
Next up, we're going back out to Jersey, and we're going to hear from Chuck. This call was Chuck didn't call in a halftime. He waited till the 2-minute warning.
What's up, guys? It's Chuck. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. It's just about the 2-minute warning. This game's out of reach for the Giants. I got the whole crew with me tonight, so let's aim. That's from the Black Hole, New Jersey.
Kind of got muffled there, but Chuck had his whole crew there. He had the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole cheering for him. I believe at the Irish Cottage Inn is where they all get together. So thank you to Chuck, and thank you for the Black Hole, New Jersey, for calling in.
Hey, that was pretty cool. The gift wasn't so great because the phone was muffled, but the thought that he'd want to call in to our show and leave a voicemail with everybody while the game is still, not 100% settled. That was pretty cool. Appreciate it, Chuck.
All right, next up, this is Sonny. Kevin, I'm going down on record as saying this is my favorite call I think we've ever had to the show. This, and I don't want to set it up too big.
Some good ones.
We've had some fantastic calls. Johnny earlier was great. We're going to hear from our buddy Q-Dog, who is turning into not only one of the crowd favorites, but I'm telling you, as of tonight, this might be the best call we've ever got.
Greetings, Aaron. The Q-Dog Raider here, calling from the east side. What's good, Raider Nation? Once again, Murf, Sonny, salutations to the consigliere, Uncle Mosh. Love you, baby. But look, we finally did it. We're 6-6. Not the 6-6 we wanted, but we're atop the AFC West. Long time coming there, but I'm going to hit a few topics. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to quit it. Listen, Marshawn Lynch, love him, can't stand him, tolerate him. He's repping the old town like no other. I'm telling you, he carried us last week, this week. Big ups to him, man. You got to give it up to him. He's bringing heart to the East Bay, and we're going to need it this time of year. The O-line, they look like some cold garbage, but you know what? They're turning it around. For the past 3 weeks, I've been hard on them, but you know what? They're bringing it. They're opening holes. They're finally learning how to run block, and consistently. Not too happy with Penn, but I'll deal with it. Gabe Jackson, he's got to do better, but he's doing better. He's got to do even better than what he thought. If I'm not mistaken, did we have a Clive Walford sighting? Hey, man, I thought, I was going to have to quit drinking milk because he popped up on the back of that cart with his ugly ass mug. But you know what? Hey, as long as he's going, over the middle and giving us production, I'll take it. Our defense seems like it's an NFL caliber defense the past couple of weeks. Coincidence? I move on. Cordell Patterson, he has got to be our number 3. I don't care about Seth Roberts. He is our number 3. And since I'm bringing new things to the table, let me go ahead and put this out there. This thing of ours, you can't have, La Casa Nostra without a hit list. So let me go ahead and pony up 3 names for you. Holton, good to know you, see you. He's got to go. Reggie Nelson, if he takes another bad angle, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to come on the field, and tighten his wig up. Seth Roberts, hey, he's got to go. We can't have a dude that looks better than my sister, and she's hot. He got to go. Brings nothing to the table, but I'm going to get angry talking about that punk. So look, it's Chiefs week, baby. Time to tighten up, strap on. We got to go up there and we got to, represent, because their train may be coming off the track, but they're going to get right. They're going to crack back whenever we come up there. It's going to be cold, no excuses. Handle it, baby. Hey, we tied at the top of the league. This call's been brought to you by the Defenders of Silver and Black. DFW Chapter President Willie Flores. Hit him up.
Man, is that awesome or what? Q-Dog bringing it.
Is Seth really that handsome?
No. Jimmy Garoppolo's way better looking than Seth Roberts. Wait, what? Did I say that out loud?
Who you talking about?
Nobody. No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, you're not talking about Derek Carr and his perfectly manicured eyebrows, are you?
No. That was
or his dreamy eyelashes?
All right. Good call, Q-Dog. Good call, Q-Dog. Kevin, what'd you think of his hit list? Johnny Holton, Reggie Nelson, Seth Roberts. Agree, disagree, what?
I agree with Holton. Seth, I'm waiting on, and Reggie Nelson, yes. Yeah, get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's in unison when it comes to Reggie Nelson. He's I mean, how many more bad angles is this guy going to take before?
And Sean Smith, he's on my hit list. Get rid of him.
There you go. That's
That one's going to hurt though, because we paid him millions. So
although isn't he doing better now that we're playing different kind of style of defense, I think he's been playing better.
Well, hey, look in the Bronco game, yeah, because a different style of defense. And Pagano had him shadowing Demaryius Thomas, who's not as fast and as agile as he used to be. This is not the Demaryius Thomas of 2011, whatever that year it was that him and Tim Tebow connected to beat the Steelers. But that's not the same player anymore. And so yeah, Sean Smith can match up perfectly against guys like that. You just don't have him on Brandon Cooks. So that I think Sean Smith's doing. And here's what our big beef has been about Downing and even Norton Jr. To date this year is that instead of taking your scheme and trying to plug players into your scheme, develop your scheme around your talent. And what do they do well? Well, Sean Smith can handle man coverage just fine as long as he's not matched up against little quick guys. They put him on a big guy like Demaryius Thomas who doesn't run a 4-3 anymore. He's fine. I thought it was So I think Sean Smith is definitely better. So we'll see. We'll see what happens once we start getting guys back from injury. Did you guys notice was Emerson was supposed to be cleared this week? Did he get a lot of playing time? Did I just miss that, or did I see Dexter McDonald and all those guys back? Right?
Emerson was out. He was out with injury.
Yeah. So so we're getting him back. That's going to definitely give us some more depth. I thought he was coming back this week, but I guess he was a late scratch, huh?
I'm not sold on Patterson being the number 3 just yet. I do like that he stepped up quite a bit. He had 4 catches on 4 targets. Walford had 4 catches on 4 targets. Roberts had 5 catches on 6 targets. It seemed like those 3 guys carried us. And then you have Holton, 3 catches on 7 targets. Holton's kind of weird. Like up until this game, he just had a couple great plays every few games. And then when we actually needed him, he still scored the winning touchdown, if you think about it, that crossing route that he almost fumbled going to the end zone. But that turned out to be the winning touchdown. And then he had that killer back shoulder catch on the sideline. Where he
that was beautiful, man.
So it's like he does these great things, but then he has these bonehead plays. You know what I'm saying, Kevin?
Not counting this game, I think Cook's number 3 and Patterson's 4. Cook just had a bad game, but I think he's the definitely number 3.
Yeah, as far as the target list, I agree, and you know what, I'm glad to see that Walford, at least whether it was more targets or whether he was getting open or he was a featured, being that we were going to, since we were down our 2 starting wideouts. So one of the things that I speculated on when we got Jared Cook was that we were going to have our own version of, I hate to bring up his name even, but Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. I thought this was going to be our twin towers. I thought we were going to have these guys in an ace type formations with bookended tight ends and send them out to take advantage of seam routes and and mismatches against linebackers and all those crazy things that the Patriots used to do. I thought there was an opportunity for us to do this. I mean, this guy came from the University of Miami, which is they're known for the running backs, their secondary, and tight ends, man. You look at the guys that have come out of the universe, Bubba Franks and Jeremy Shockey and this guy, Clive Walford, was the leading tight end in the history of that program. So the guy's got pass catching ability. He's got that talent. And so for whatever reason, it's just never come to fruition in the NFL. And I still think there's hope for him. And so I'm glad to see that he showed up. And hopefully this is something that Todd Downing sees now and decides to take advantage of it. Because tight ends are a matchup problem enough as it is, let alone if you got 2 of them. I mean, how often do you see that second tight end that's a threat? Oh my gosh, man, those guys can go off. So I think it was encouraging. All right. Good.
Cook for the game, 5 targets, 1 catch. Just saying.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was Walford? Do you have his stats there handy?
Walford was 4 catches on 4 targets for 57 yards.
That's beautiful, man. See, that's perfect. That's your second tight end. I hope this is something the Raiders start to lean on. So, all right, next up, we're going to go to all made men from here out. Red in Yakima, Washington.
Sonny, Murf, Red up here in Yakima. That was a good win. We needed that. Kind of hoped it was a for sure win. There for a second, they're showing some fight in them. But anyways, we got the W. I think I'm correct, but I think this is Lynch's first game with 100 yards. Had like 150 yards for scrimmage. That was nice. If he could play like that every game, that'd be good. Defense is pretty much what I expected. Mediocre. We held down for the most part, Cordero Patterson had that nice big play towards the end that pretty much locked it up for us. That was nice. We needed that. Yeah, I thought we played good for being without our two best starting receivers. Hopefully next week we could take down the Chiefs and just take over the number one spot in the division. Come on now, we deserve it. Let's keep fighting for it. And I think we got it. I think back in week 5, I think Boomer Esiason said that we were going to sweep December. Well, we got the first game done with. We'll move on to the next game. And I think we got it. And go Raiders.
Appreciate the call, Red. Kevin, he touched on a couple different things. Lynch, first time he's been over 100 yards since retirement. He also called the defense mediocre. The Giants came into the game averaging 15.6 points on offense and ended up scoring 17 against us. What I thought was the bigger part, the thing that played a bigger difference, though, is the key plays at key times. The Irvin sack, the strip sack that occurred when the Jets were driving on our territory, the Mack strip sack that occurred when the Jets were driving in our territory deep. Did you think the defense was mediocre overall, or do you have a different take on that?
Because of those plays, I'm not going to call them mediocre for that game. I think they did step it up, and you have an excellent point. They were able to change the momentum with those plays, and were able to keep the game in check to a certain degree. They have been mediocre to bad recently, but this game I'm going to give them a little more credit.
All right, Kevin, we got to get you out of here. It's a little bit past your bedtime. So again, Kevin, the Raider Nerd on Twitter at Spartan_Phoenix. Appreciate you coming in. Real quick before you go, just tell everybody again your podcasts and where they can find that out as well.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I got to go. I got a podcast we're doing. We're doing a Discoville. We're talking about the latest episode of Orville. Look for us, the Fandom Podcast Network. Obviously, we're on Facebook, and you can find iTunes and all the other podcast catchers. And check out all of our other pop culture podcasts. We have a lot of fun over there. And Murf says that he wants to get on talking about Star Wars. We're going to be talking a lot about Star Wars coming up.
Man, I love it. I'm a nerd for the wars, man. So if you need somebody, I'm your man.
I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me on. I listen to you guys every week, and I really appreciate what you do for the Raider fans.
Hey, appreciate you coming on, Kevin. It's good stuff, man.
Absolutely. Right. Great to have you on. We'll have you on again for sure.
All right. See you guys.
See you, Kevin.
See you, Kevin.
All right, Sonny, we got 3 more calls here. We'll work through the Sea of Fans mailbag. Again, keeping the Made Man theme going. We're going to hear from our buddy Dakota Raider.
Sonny Murf, this is Made Man, Dakota Raider. What a great win over the Giants today. I mean, the way the season has gone, I can't believe that we find ourselves tied for first place in our division. I don't think we get a wild card. So, I mean, to get to the playoffs, we have to win the West. If we get a win at Arrowhead, I mean, the sky's the limit. You know, I think Derek Carr is just the quarterback to maybe get that done. Our defense has looked great the last 2 weeks. I mean, finally somebody else is making some plays with Mack being double and triple teamed constantly. I mean, Irvin must be playing pissed off or something since his buddy Candy got fired. But, you know, Autry's looked beastly the last 2 weeks too. Can't believe I'm saying that. But I guess how much of that improvement in the defense is Pagano? How much of it is Bowman running the show? Or just that we played 2 crappy teams? You know, probably all of it. Anyways, love your show, guys. Definitely looking forward to the YouTube Live. Have a good one.
All right, appreciate you calling in, Dakota Raider. And Murf, I think he just heard himself as he was listening to the show on the live chat.
Oh, very cool.
On YouTube there. Yeah. In fact, Ron says, yeah, you're up, Dakota. Good stuff. Murf,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was messing with the settings, so I didn't quite hear everything you said. Maybe you're better served chiming in on that one.
Man, I'm completely I'm enamored with the idea that we're so meta, man, that we're live, and the guys that are listening to themselves recorded and playing live are live watching. Like I don't know, I'm freaking out, man.
Yeah. He says Twilight Zone. He says Twilight Zone.
That's really cool.
podcast section. There you go.
Well, I think the sentiment of, look, we're in first place, right? And it's not the first place we expected, but it's the first place we got, and so I'm thankful for it. I mean, it's weird, right? We're 6-6, and we're sitting here tied. And people want to say that, this tiebreaker and that tiebreaker. All the tiebreakers shake out. So as of right now, to me, the only thing that counts is the record. And right now, we have 3 of us have the same record and at all quote tied for first place. So while technically, if you follow the tiebreakers, then we're not. But the tiebreakers won't matter. Well, they will matter, but they don't matter now because we haven't finished out the season. So 6-6, it's first place. All they got to do is keep winning, and we'll have a shot to stay in this thing. I forget which caller it was earlier that alluded to. Might have been Red. Look, if they make it, what are we going to get if we make the playoffs?
That was
Yayo. Okay. So, I mean, what are we going to get if we do make the playoffs? Well, I don't know. Is it any worse than it would have been last year? Yeah. Even though we cooked our way to getting our butts kicked against Houston, it was still a playoff game. So, I would rather see a healthy Derek Carr in the playoffs, make his first playoff appearance. Look, we may go in there and get smoked, but, just the idea of him being able to play, I think, is huge. And look, what if it's against like the Titans or something? We know we can beat them, so it's, look, you never know who you're going to play. Now, they're going to be a division winner. They're not going to be a wild card, so they're not going to necessarily have to play because the lowest wild card plays the highest division winner. And so we'll kind of be in there in the middle. So we might end up playing Tennessee, or maybe Buffalo even, how cool would that be to get Buffalo back in Oakland, get our shot at them again. So I don't know. I'm okay with it. Again, first place is first place. We'll take it no matter what it looks like.
Remember, was it the 07? Was it 2007 when the Giants squeaked into the playoffs?
Yeah, 9-7, dude.
Yeah, and ended up beating the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl, right? Wasn't that the year?
I'm pretty sure they were 9-7 that year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they weren't, it was pretty darn close.
Seahawks did it a few years ago. They were 9-7. Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how you get in. It just matters if you get in, right? Like, think back to being a 17-year-old high school boy again, right? Like, it doesn't matter how you get in the playoffs. As long as you're in the playoffs, that's all that matters. As long as you close the deal. And so when you're into the playoffs, it's that second season, right? That's it. That's you just want to sit at the table so you can have a chance to do some damage. And it doesn't matter when you catch fire, as long as it's right before the playoffs and you can carry that through. And we're built to be a playoff team. We can run the ball, we can throw it when we need to, and we can get after your quarterback. And those are the 3 things you need to make a run, and we have it. And so if we catch fire now and win the next 4 games, that puts us on a 6-game winning streak into the playoffs. You're telling me that people are going to bet against the Raiders at that point? All will be forgotten the first 10 games in the year. If we rattle off 6 straight victories, get into the playoffs, the Raiders are again the hot, sexy.
Oh, what are you talking about, man? Come on now. That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's hard to think that would erase. I mean, you think of what we've gone through earlier this year. You think about losing to Washington and losing to the Chargers. I mean, we've just had these monstrous losses, man. And to think that the idea that we could actually erase that. But you're right, we would, because if we win out, then that means we're knocking off San Diego. We're knocking off the Chiefs for a second time, So, and it starts this week. I mean, those last 2 weeks were nice. It was nice to get those wins. But those were pretty winnable games. I mean, when you look at the quarterback play of those teams, the defense of the Giants, those were very winnable games. Now, the next one, going to Kansas City, I mean, shoot, when was the last time we won there? 2012? I don't know. People are yelling at me right now on YouTube Live, but
we haven't beat the Chiefs twice in the same year since 2012.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. And when was the last time we won in Arrowhead? Was that then?
Might have been 2012, yeah.
So whatever it was, I mean, it's been a while. So look, they've had our number here recently. So that's a big deal if we can knock them off a second time. So anyways, all right, let's go to Johnny in San Diego for round number 2.
Hey, Sonny and Murf, Johnny here in San Diego. Fresh from a 7 to 8 hour drive from Oakland to San Diego. I got into San Diego about 1:30 this morning. But it was all worth it, man. Oh, sorry. Hashtag made man. I missed the cutoff last week, but hopefully I can make it in this week. Just a couple things. Oakland makes TJ look like Beverly Hills, bro. Some of those areas are pretty rough. We're trying to save $40 and park on the street. But when we saw broken glass everywhere, we figured $40 sounds like a good idea. But other than that, it was amazing. You can drink on the street, pretty much, and it's pretty awesome. It's a huge party. A couple things from the game. Great atmosphere, of course. This will be my third game up there. A couple things. Todd Downey, maybe we're expecting too much of this guy. Maybe because he has too many weapons. Maybe he doesn't know how to use them. Because Cordell Patterson, I swear to God, looked like Bo Jackson from Tecmo Bowl. I mean, dudes were just bouncing off the guy. So maybe there's too many weapons and he doesn't know how to use them. So I don't know. But let's get Cordell involved a little bit more because that guy is a beast. A couple things on the defense, which looked pretty amazing. 2 stops right at the goal line and strip sacks. But the DBs, I swear to God, I think these guys are anti-condoms because they never wrap up, dude. It's like they want to make the hit, but they don't tackle. How many times did Giant receivers who are probably second or third team just get away from our guys and just yak it up? Other than that, great experience, man. 3-way tie, New Year's Eve in LA might be just epic, bro. But go Raider Nation. We are there. Keep plugging along. There's something there, man. Let's put it together. All right, peace.
Appreciate the call. Appreciate the second call, Johnny in San Diego. You missed last week, but you got in twice this week, so good job. Appreciate you calling in, making the show that much more engaging and fun for me and Murf. Murf, yes, the defense needs to do a little more arm tackling. That's the politer way to put it than what Johnny said. He mentioned Patterson's looking beastly, looking Bo Jackson worthy. First of all, don't insult Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl with that.
I know, right? Yeah.
There's nothing that comes close to Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl.
It's immortality right there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Good comparison, though. Kevin stated earlier that Patterson should be the number 3 wide receiver, Murph. Are you on that bandwagon yet?
Yeah, I am. And, I heard somebody this week talk about the skill position players that come out of the University of Tennessee and about how, the University of Tennessee athletes are all linemen. It's the Derek Barnetts of the world and people like that. And I'm like, I thought about that for a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, we got Eric Berry, who's arguably one of the best safeties in the league, if not the best when he's healthy. You got Alvin Kamara, who is the freaking going to be rookie of the year. And you got Cordell Patterson, who is on his way to becoming a pretty, stellar offensive player for the Raiders. And so, yeah, and the reason I say all that is because this guy, he's always been fast and he's always been big, but much like a lot of Raider players in the past, he had weak hands, right? Darius Hayward-Bay, anybody? Like, you can be the size, you can be the prototype, but if you can't catch, then what does it matter, right? Well, not only is he's developing hands, and I was joking earlier that, even, you and I would have the best hands on the Raiders because of all the drop issues. But joking aside, like Cordell Patterson's not dropping passes like Johnny Holton is, Crabtree is, right? Like Cooper is, like these other guys are, Seth Roberts is, and Seth Roberts is fumbling, and these other guys are fumbling too. Cordell Patterson, I don't recall, has had any, issues with the dropsies this year. Even Marshawn is dropping passes. So I think that as far as the way that Cordell Patterson has developed, yeah, no, I know you paid Seth Roberts a bunch of money in the offseason, but, we signed Cordell Patterson as no slouch on his contract. And so, yeah, I don't see why not. And especially, here's what I do say, especially with Coop going down. We're going to get Crabtree back, but Coop with the ankle injury and more importantly, the concussion, people were kind of bummed about the addition of the ankle injury and how that was going to keep him out. Let's keep focused. Let's get the guy's brain healthy first. That's much more scarier of an injury. So let's get that handled. Let's get him back out there when he's healthy. But heck, man, we could be, another couple weeks away from getting Coop back. So there's definitely going to be an opportunity for Patterson to seize that number 3 spot. And heck, man, you never know. We might even see him running with the ones here, playing the way he is. And Sonny, don't you think that if he can be a reliable enough of a pass catcher, look, he's not going to run the route tree that Coop and Crabtree run, right? He's not going to run all the different routes, but he can run enough
Who cares? Go straight. Go straight.
Right? And if he's a matchup problem because he can box people out with his size, heck, man, why not? I'm with Kevin on that. Why not, have him be our number 3 wide receiver and be up there on the target list? Heck yeah, man. I think it's great. I've always liked him. I thought, well, look, when we drafted Denarius Moore, who was also on that same University of Tennessee team, I thought, well, that's a nice player, but that was kind of like the also ran. It was kind of like when I forget who Jacoby Ford was. He was out of Clemson who got drafted before him. Was it like Dexter McCluster or something like that? It was somebody like really good in front of him, and then we got the also. And it was like, okay, the Cordell Patterson went, and then we got the also. Well, now we got the guy. And so I've always thought he's been a really fun player to watch. And, so I hope he does. I really do hope he does.
Cordell Patterson has 31 targets and 25 receptions on the year. That equates to an 80% catch rate when you throw him the ball. That's interesting. Interesting stat number 2 around Cordell Patterson. In his last 5 games, he has 16 targets and 14 catches.
That's
pretty
legit,
good, right?
Dude. That's legit. Yep.
Against the Dolphins, he had no receptions and no targets. Against Buffalo, he had 4 targets, 3 receptions for 7 total yards. He was averaging 2.3 yards per catch. Then against New England, 4 targets, 4 catches for 45 yards. Against Denver, 4 catches, 3 targets, 72 yards. And against the Giants, 4 targets, 3 catches, 97 yards. Maybe the Raiders are starting to see something in him, and we're going to start exploring it more. Maybe this is the start of Cordell stepping it up and being more of a guy who's going to be centered in our offense.
Or maybe it's the result of our top 2 guys going out. I mean, you never know, right?
Exactly.
But one way or the other, if Todd Downing doesn't at least make this some part of our offense, then it's a mistake. Because if you remember early on, he was in the backfield. Remember? Like Patterson was running the football.
Like Montgomery in Green Bay.
Exactly. And then we went away from that. And then all of a sudden now he's catching passes. So, look, the guy is a playmaker, man. So give him the ball. I mean, that was a screenplay, right? When he took off for those big yards, I mean, get the guy the freaking ball. Just get him the ball in space and then let him go to work. Like I think it's great.
I don't think that, and I don't think it's so much of a knock against Seth Roberts as it is just Cordell stepping up and playing big boy football. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Roberts isn't Captain Clutch like he was last year either, though. Like, he's kind of disappearing on some stuff, and then he does goofy stuff like holding the football out and getting it knocked out of his hands and all that. So, anyway.
Yeah, that didn't help very much, huh?
Nah, I don't think so. You can't be sloppy. Look, you can't – when you're a team that's fighting for its playoff life, you can't be sloppy like that. And I think that as a coach and as a coordinator, that's what they're looking at. It is that who gives us the most opportunity to, secure the football. I mean, I hate to put it that way.
When you're catching 80% of your passes thrown to you, especially on this team, I think the Raiders lead the league in drops.
Yes.
So when you have a guy on the team who leads the league in drops, you have a guy who's catching 80% of his passes. Like, go learn to run routes, bro, because we're going to throw you the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
But until then, here's a screen and here's a streak. Master those.
That's it.
What did Bruce Lee say? He doesn't fear a man who knows a lot of kicks. He fears a man who knows one kick.
That's right.
So if Cordell is our version of Tyreek Hill, so be it, man. So be it.
So be it. Put him on the 9 route and let it fly, right?
Let it fly.
All right, here we go. One more. Last call of the night comes from Ron in Alliance, Ohio. Here we go with the meta thing again. Ron's listening to Ron.
Twilight Zone.
Hey, guys. Ron from Alliance. I think yesterday's game was really good despite the fact that it was kind of ugly because I think that that's going to give some invaluable experience to those receivers that we don't see that much. And maybe we'll lean on him a little bit more. Holton made that sideline catch. Maybe we want to look at him as in a red zone target, use him kind of like a Bryce Butler. But overall, pretty good game, and hopefully we can make some noise against the Chiefs here. I think we're going to play an inspired Chiefs team after the way they've been downtrodden, so we might have another game like we did last time. It's back and forth, and defense seems to be really picking things up. It's nice to see people moving around, and even Todd Downing there the 3 tight end formations. That was kind of nice to see because you see Clive Wolford making an appearance. So, maybe this little bit of distress that we're facing here has given us a necessity to approach things in a different way, that we could end up finding stuff we like and we use later on down the road. That's all I got. Go Raiders. Have a good day. Bye.
Ron's a smart guy.
Ron's a great guy. Thanks for calling in the past, which is the current, and thanks for watching, commenting in the current, Ron. That's pretty cool. Ron's in the chat on YouTube right now. Murf, he made mention, I know we've talked about this on the phone, I don't know if on the podcast, but it's nice to see the defense moving around. And I think that's I think that's a twofold thing. I think one of those is Bowman's presence. It's been mentioned multiple times by multiple people. Bowman is out there moving guys around, putting guys in the right spot, lining guys up, and then at the same time bringing in Pagano. I think that's helping it as well. And so I think we're blitzing more. We're seeing more stunts on the line. We're seeing Mac moving around. I honestly think, for as simple as an explanation as it is, when Norton was with Seattle, they didn't have to make adjustments. They just came out in basically a cover one and said, beat us. And people couldn't, and that's where the Legion of Boom started.
That's a great point, man.
So
great point.
And he was linebacker coach up there, so he didn't really have to do a whole lot. Down here,
when you got Bobby Wagner, Bruce Irvin, and KJ Wright, what are you going to do, linebacker coach?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so coming down here, I think he was forced to be creative, and maybe he's just not that guy. Maybe he's just not there yet as far as his defensive scheming is concerned. But Pagano is, and it's neat to see guys moving around, guys in position. For as much as Irvin was upset, and Mac too, for that matter, about Norton leaving, they're sure playing a hell of a lot better now that he's gone. And I think that has to do with the putting the right player in the right position. Einstein says if you judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree, you'll be severely disappointed, right? And so much of this, you could have the 11 greatest defensive players of all time, but if you're putting Lawrence Taylor as a safety, and then you're putting Ronnie Lott as defensive lineman, you're not going to do very well, right? And so I think it's twofold. I think it's bringing in Pagano, and then also the presence of Bowman to direct the traffic as well.
Dude, I can't not build on anything you just said because that's perfect. I totally agree. And you really opened my eyes to something that I hadn't thought about before. And that was, I always wondered why Pete Carroll never chose to promote Ken Norton Jr. And that's been a pretty, widespread topic of discussion is that, well, why, if this guy was all that great, then why didn't he get promoted in Seattle when considering the defense that they had, And so,
exactly.
But that's why I think that's a great point. And when you talk about those guys could man up with anybody. I mean, when you're talking about, and then, gosh, they got the 2 best safeties in the league. I mean, it's crazy when that defense is healthy. Like right now, they're just a Legion of Boo, right? Of course, they play great
but they're still playing good.
I know.
Right?
I say that, and then they freaking, thumped the Eagles last night. So I mean, it's crazy how good those guys are and just lining up and playing man. And then, and that's Al Davis football. If you really want to dig into it, that's Al's scheme, was that play man on the back end. And if you can cover long enough, your pass rush will get there naturally. You don't have to blitz, and so that's and so when you look at the guys that they have up front, Michael Bennett and whatnot, they're able to play coverage long enough, and then those guys get the pressure. And, I think Frank Clark had a big game last night. So, yeah, dude, that's an awesome point. And that does not translate to the way that the Raiders are set up right now. Absolutely not. And here's the other good thing, too. And I think this is going to be cool to watch. That there's been a lot of talk, and I'll give Kyle on the End Zone, Kevin's co-host, I'll give him credit. He's a big Chiefs fan, and he was talking a lot about the Chiefs' struggles, and that was that when
you can talk a lot about the Chiefs' struggles, can't you?
Well, you sure can. But and here's one of the things that he points out: you can't play man to man against them, because Tyreek Hill will torch you, right? Like
as evidenced by 2 deep bombs this last week. Yeah,
there you go. Travis Kelce will torch you. Like you cannot line up and cover these guys man to man. But you switch to zone, you switch and you play them cover 2. they're a mess. And that's the way that teams are beating them. And so if that now, take that Ken Norton Jr. approach out, that line up, play man, wait for the pass rush to get there. Now we're going to play a lot of zone on the back end, maybe work in some zone blitzes with, Joseph or whatever else. Now, all of a sudden, that's the kind of a defense that can take on the Chiefs. And look, we already beat them once before with Ken Norton Jr., so if we're going to be even that much better, good, then because we're going to need it to have to go into Arrowhead and win. So not going to get crazy. They've relieved us of the burden of expectation, but things are starting to line up a little bit and work towards a positive direction. So hopefully that will continue forward this week. So we'll see.
Hopefully, Murph.
Hopefully. So, all right. So speaking of the Chiefs, do we want to we got one from Mosh. Do we want to go to him or do we want to do a break first?
A voicemail from Uncle Mosh?
Yeah, one of his Raider hater rants.
Is it about the Chiefs?
It's about the Chiefs.
Let's go to a break first, and then we'll play coming back in the break.
Sounds good.
You're listening to The Violator, and I'm live on Raider Fan Radio. Where you at, baby?
Hey, Raider Nation. That's right. You listen. You listen to Sonny and Murf on Raiders Fan Radio. Well, they're taking a break. That's right. Sonny had to go tinkle, and Murf's probably eating again. But right now, this is Uncle Mosh, and I want to talk to you about something serious. I want to talk to you about 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. That's right. I want to talk to you about McDonald's. You know, their colors, Oh, no, wait a minute. That's the Chiefs. Oh, I thought the Raiders were playing Ronald McDonald this weekend. No, they're not. They're going to play the Chiefs. And you know what? We hate the Chiefs. You want to know why we hate the Chiefs? Because the Chiefs have the worst fans in the entire NFL, according to Emory University.
Sorry,
That's
Kyle.
right. They did a study. I promise you, there is no Chiefs fan radio. I promise you, it's not out there. It's not happening. The only thing the Chiefs could ever do that was similar to us was build their stadium to look just like the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. That's right. Check it out. I'm not lying. Uncle Mosh, don't lie. Here's another reason. Our bosses, longtime bosses, hated each other. Lamar Hunt and Al Davis, there was no love lost there. Plus, we love to beat the Chiefs. We do. We beat them all the time. Okay, the worst part, though, here's the worst part. Here's why we really hate the Chiefs. Marcus Allen, how much time did you spend in a Chiefs uniform? Hello, Rich Gannon, how much time did you spend in a Chiefs uniform and a Raiders uniform? But you know who the worst one of them all is? Alex Smith. Are you serious? Alex Smith is your quarterback? And who did Alex used to play for? That's right, boys and girls. He was an alfalfa sprout eater. There wasn't no 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun for Alex Smith. No, he'd go in and says, I'll have the wrap, please. This is Uncle Mosh, the Raider hater. I'm out.
He's killing me. He's killing me.
He's too dang funny, man.
Oh,
he's the best.
Man. Alfalfa sprouts.
Alfalfa sprout of the rap.
Yeah. You know, Murph, this is. I hate the Chiefs.
We hate the Chiefs, man. Look, hate the Chiefs. They're right there with the Donks, man. And look, in the history of the rivalry, they're number one. Like the Chiefs Raiders is number one. Now, more recently, it's become the Broncos. You know what I mean? Especially with the latest run that Pepe had and all that stuff. But look, man, I mean, these are all right. Look, and that's. I hope Raider Nation gets fired up for this.
This is owner versus owner. This is players.
Yes.
I mean, this is Ben Davidson.
Yes.
I mean, this is deep.
Franchise deep rivalries. Yes.
AFL, NFL. This is deep, dude.
Yes. Absolutely.
Deep. Not to mention, we stole their baseball team.
Yeah, right. Kansas City is, right?
We
No
stole
kidding.
their baseball team.
Absolutely.
I looked it up. Sure enough, Uncle Mosh is correct. 2017, June 21st, an article written by Jeff Patterson, theKansasCity.com, Emory University study the Chiefs have the worst fans of all time. Here's one of the quotes. The Chiefs are the tough one on this list. The Chiefs fill their stadium, but at a relatively low price. Keep in mind that the analysis includes factors such as population and median income. In addition, Kansas City was ranked 29th in terms of road attendance last year, and the social media following is middle of the road. The fundamental issue is that the Chiefs produce these below-average fan-based results while performing well above average on the field. But, Murph, that's not really the case. Chiefs fans are smart, and you called it. Chiefs fans know that despite the Chiefs always starting out to do great things, what happens, Murph, to Andy Reid and the Chefs as the season goes on?
They always fade in the end, man, and sometimes it takes them the first round of the playoffs, but they always fade away.
And you called this. I don't know if we were watching the Patriots game or not, but when the Chiefs were 5-0, Raiders were 2-3, the wheels were falling off with the Raiders, and all of a sudden everybody's freaking out. I'm like, dude, the Chiefs are the best thing ever. And you're like, dude, the Chiefs always fall off. And what's happened? They've lost 4 games in a row, Murph. 4 in a row. To the Bills, to the Jets, they lost to the Giants.
I know.
How do you lose to the friggin' Giants? And they lost to the Cowboys, right? So,
I mean, and that's not a murderer's row of competition there. We've lost to the Bills, and I'm not going to try to pretend like the Raiders are something they aren't. But if this is supposed to be one of the best teams in the league, and you're getting thumped by the Jets, like, dude, they had a 14-point lead in the first quarter. Like, there is no reason the Chiefs should have lost that football game, and they found a way to do it. And I don't know if you watched it. I watched a good majority of it. And, Josh McCown looks like freaking, Peyton of, 06 out there. It's crazy. It's crazy how they freaking fell off. Their defense is atrocious. Now, look, they got the capability of the explosive plays. When you got playmakers like Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt, they are home runs waiting to happen. But their defense is god-awful. They're awful. I mean, they are just awful. So anyways, I don't see any reason why we can't take care of them this week. And look, they're not going to resurge all of a sudden. Because now when you look at that freaking thing with Marcus Peters and throwing the flag and walking off the field.
Is he suspended? He's not suspended, is he?
No, he wasn't, and he didn't get kicked out of the game. And so it was like, well, did he remove himself from the game, or did he think he was going to get kicked out of it? One way or the other, this is typical Andy Reid, lose control, things start getting goofy, players start doing goofy stuff, and without your veteran leaders like Eric Berry, as I mentioned a minute ago, that's the kind of guy that you have that kind of keeps everybody together, that rallies the troop. You think about the veteran leadership, he's it. Now, there are other guys like Justin Houston, and they have other guys on the defense, but those guys, while they may be leaders, they're not the players they used to be. So they're just kind of a mess on all these different fronts, man. And listen, once you lose that man-to-man advantage with Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, that's it. You're left with Alex Smith, dinking and dunking, and, Kareem Hunt fell off. For a while, he was going to be the rookie of the year. Now you got Kamara, who's just, no pun intended, running away with it. Yeah. I mean, that kid is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you saw his game against Carolina this week, but holy goodness, man, that kid's just.
I only watch Raider games, Murph.
Well, and that dude was number 2 on the depth chart in Tennessee. Thanks, Butch Jones, you moron. But anyways,
all right, bringing it back. So,
all right, sorry.
So we're going to jump into our 3 reasons why the Chiefs. So I'll give 3. This sucks. I don't even want to say this out loud.
I know, right?
I'll give 3 reasons in a hypothetical world that the Chiefs could potentially overcome the Raiders if the Raiders do a bunch of bad things and allow the Chiefs to overcome them. And then you will give 3 reasons as to why the Raiders most likely will go ahead and dominate the Chefs. And you will have intro music, don't you, for us?
I do, in fact.
Give me one reason why I should listen to you.
Give me one good reason.
Give me one good reason why I...
So you give me one good reason.
Give me one good reason.
Give me one good reason. Give me one good reason.
Why don't you give me one reason?
3 reasons.
333, 333. It's always 333. It's always the same.
I can think of 3 real good reasons.
3 reasons.
Top 3.
All right, since I have the Raiders, you go first.
Oh, you get the Raiders, and you can call the shots now. I see how it is.
Sorry, I'm Lance Corporal co-host now. I've promoted myself.
Lance Corporal. All right. The Chefs are a wreck, Murph. They have lost 4 straight games. They have watched a resurgent Raiders win 3 of the last 4. They've watched the Chargers win their last 3 games. And all of a sudden, the Chiefs find themselves in a tie for first place. At one point in this season, the Chiefs were 5-0 on top of the NFL, including a slaughtering of the Patriots, which we watched side by side. I wouldn't have believed it could happen, so I'm glad I got to watch it, and there's somebody there to verify, yes, this did happen. It's real life. The Chiefs are a wreck. They're a mess, and at some point, you have to believe that an NFL team is going to have pride in what they do, and they're going to step up. Could they lose out? I don't know. Is this going to be one of the worst drop-offs in the history of a team? It might be if they lose out. I don't see them losing 8 games in a row. As much as I hate the Chiefs, it seems like they have too many weapons to let this thing just completely fall through the wayside. So my first reason why I think the Chiefs are going to potentially allow the Raiders to beat them, because there's no way the Chiefs can dictate anything in this stupid game, is pride, is NFL man pride. Somewhere in that locker room, somebody's gonna call people out, whether it's Smith or whether it's Kelsey, whether it's Hill or whatever. Somewhere, somebody's gonna step up in that locker room and say, "This is a rivalry game. This is the Raiders. As much as we hate the Chiefs, you got to know they hate us just the same. And so this is the rivalry game. Everybody hates everybody, and everybody gets up for rivalry games. And really, Murph, if you think about it, this is a big freaking game, dude. Like, this is a big, big game.
It's a playoff game, right? I mean, this is a playoff game.
100% playoff game. The Chiefs were 5-0. They have now lost 6 of 7 games in a row. Deep down inside, somewhere, they're reeling. They have to be reeling. And now it's at home against their hated rival who just climbed up to get in first place. We all remember what happened last year or the last game in Oakland with Lynch and Peters and all that. They're going to be out for blood. They're pissed off. They're the pissed off dog in the corner, and they're saying, "You're going to come into our house." So there's a part of me that's a little worried that they're going to go crazy on our Raiders defense.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern, and these are the kind of games where, when you corner a team like that, and they're almost have nothing left to play for. Like, I don't mean it like, I know they do, but it's getting to that point. Like, if they do lose again, like they know the sense of urgency, right? Like, it's now. Like, they have everything to play for, essentially. I don't know, I kind of contradicted myself there, but I think you follow me. All right, so how the Raiders I do that a lot. So how the Raiders going to win? All right, so number one reason for the Raiders, I think that we've heard from a few people tonight. We've heard it from Kevin, and we heard it from some of the callers. There is an emergence of new threats for our team on offense, and I say they're new, but they were merely lying dormant. And when you look at players like Cordell Patterson, who was effective kind of in the running game, but really hadn't seen anything in the passing game until now probably because of the injuries to Coop and Crabtree. The emergence of Clive Walford, probably because of the injuries to Coop and Crabtree. The emergence now of Marshawn Lynch, that while he had a pretty good game against the Jets, outside of that, he really hadn't had that big ground and pound, super explosive type game until this last week. Well, now, so we have these things that the Raiders really weren't able to count on prior to now starting to emerge. Now, you could say, well, man, they played the Broncos. Well, okay, the Broncos suck offensively, but their defense is still pretty legit. They don't have a bunch of injuries in the secondary. And in fact, they got 3 starters on any other team in the NFL back there, in the secondary, plus Darian Stewart and a handful of others. So, I mean, they have playmakers on defense. Plus, Von Miller, and they're not hurting for players on defense. And we did pretty well against them. Now, granted, they were put in favorable positions because of the Broncos' inability to move the football and whatnot, but still, the Raiders did it. And so then here we did it again while they were down Janoris Jenkins, and I made a mistake early in the last show, by the way. I was talking about how Jenkins was rivaling Khalil Mack as Defensive Player of the Year. I meant Landon Collins. I knew what I meant, but it didn't come out of my mouth right. Anyway, but Landon Collins is still there. They still have Jason Pierre-Paul. There's still playmakers on this Giants defense. And the Raiders did a pretty good job of moving the football and scoring points. Again, not ideal, not what we all would want, but now we're seeing these additional playmakers start to emerge. And don't you know it, Sonny? When you watch every single playoff run by any sports team ever in the history of sports, one of the things that is always the great equalizer is that you have somebody that steps up. There's always that Matthew Dellavedova, right? There's always that one guy that kind of comes out of nowhere and you're like, what the heck? Who is this guy? You know what I mean? Now, to us as Raider fans, we're going to know Clive Walford. We know Holton or whatever, right? But to the casual fan, they're going to be like, who's this Clive Walford guy that caught 3 touchdowns for the Raiders in their playoff game against the Titans? Well, we're going to know who he is, but the world isn't going to know. And that's what I'm hoping for, is that these new, quote, new threats are now starting to emerge. And if we have depth, that's legit. And if we have depth that our coaching staff is willing to get involved, that's legit. And that could propel us to, hopefully, at least 3 wins, if not 4 here to close out the year.
Okay. I see your logic.
Okay.
I see your logic. It's fat. Okay. I can hear myself echo in my headphones, so it's fun to say. Fat.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Fat. All right. So the Raiders have played the Ravens this year, right?
Yes, they did. Speaking of disappointment. Whoa.
Did we win or lose?
I just pulled my microphone out of the wall. No man, it fell on me. That's going to look great on YouTube Live.
Yeah. Good stuff. Do we win or lose against the Ravens?
No, we lost.
Okay. We played the Chargers this year, right?
Yeah, disappointing. Lost.
Win or lose?
Lost.
Okay. We played the Patriots this year.
Oh, my gosh. Don't remind me.
Win or lose?
That seemed like so long ago now. Sheesh.
I know, right? Yeah. Basically 3 weeks. 3 weeks does.
3 weeks
win or lose?
We'll do. Yeah, we got thumped.
Okay. Those are the only 3 teams we've played that have a better defense than the Chiefs. The Chiefs right now are 15th in the league in how low they hold opponents to, right? So they're giving up 22.8 points per game. Let's see here. Patriots are at 9th, giving up 18. Chargers are 5th, giving up 17. And the Ravens are 3rd, giving up 17 as well. So you can clearly state by the numbers against teams in the top half of the league, the Raiders haven't done so well. I believe the Ravens game wasn't close, if memory serves correct. The Chargers game, we were in that game to the very end, and the Patriots game, it was over by halfway through the first quarter, essentially.
Yeah, the coin toss.
So the Chiefs defense is giving up 22.8 per game. The Raiders are giving up 23.2 per game. So you could honestly say the defenses are a push. You can honestly say that, okay, the defenses, they're both middle of the road, right? Literally 15 and 16. It doesn't get more middle of the road than that. So then you look at the offense. You say, all right, let's look at the offense. Kansas City is ranked 6th in offense in points scored per game with 25.2 points per game. Where are the Raiders at, Murf? Do you know off the top of your head?
I have no idea.
Now you can't cheat and say, oh, yeah, I know.
I know, right? Yeah.
Now people are watching us.
No, I don't know.
The Raiders are 21st with 20.8 points per game. So if there's any edge that goes to the Chiefs in any of this, it's not going to be the defense, because our defenses are relatively similar in regards to points given up. It's going to be the offense. The Chiefs have the number 6 rated offense in the league when it comes to scoring points. The Raiders have the 21st rated offense in the league. Now, I think you could say, and this is an honest assessment, the Chiefs started out hot and have been trending downward, and the Raiders are kind of the exact opposite. Raiders started out decent the first 2 games, then had the big slide, but have since been kind of trending back upward. If they can figure out how to use Patterson and Cooper and Crabtree and Cook and Walford and all these guys, then that's great. But at this point, heading into this game, I think the edge on offense goes to the Raiders. I just think it has to. I don't see there's any way you could say our offense is better than their offense. So I got to give it. And here's the other thing too. Andy Reid gave over play calling last game.
Oh yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
Right? That was interesting. Anytime that happens, it's never a good thing. I wish it would have happened when they played the Raiders, but they still managed 31 points against a decent Jet defense, we'll say. We'll give them decent, and we'll hold our breath.
Yeah.
So now they've had 2 weeks now under somebody else running the offense. So this will be the second week. So they've had a week of practice. Now they've had 2 weeks to kind of assimilate to somebody else running that offense. They just put up 31 points. Are they going to put up that many points against the Raiders? And are you confident the Raiders can put up 31 points to match the Chiefs if they do put up 31?
Well, I think the Raiders can. I think there's the opportunity to. Let me break in then into my second reason then, and how I think they're going to do it is I think they're going to do it on the back of Marshawn Lynch, man. I think that, he had a huge game this week, as I mentioned. He literally put the team on his back, and when you're going to go into a place like Kansas City, and even though they're terrible fans, right, it's still a hostile environment. It's going to be cold. It's not freezing in the Midwest yet, but it's still going to be cold. But that's what you got to do. You got to be able to run the football, and running the football. And here's what I hope that we see out of the Raiders. If they're able to run the football, that gives them an opportunity to get into some play action. And I think that with our threats offensively, there's enough speed on this team that we could take advantage of a pretty weak secondary, right? Like outside of Marcus Peters, they're kind of weak in the secondary for the Chiefs. And so I think that if we can get those guys, those defenders sucked up towards the line of scrimmage and then hit them with a little bit of play action. Now look, I know Todd Downing doesn't do a lot of play action, but he also hasn't done a lot of things so far this year that he's seeming to get out of his habits. He's seeming to, dare I say, adjust. He's starting to change, which is a good thing. That's what you have to do to be successful in this league. And so I think that by running the ball effectively with Marshawn, sets up play action and allows Derek to move the ball downfield. And if he starts moving the ball, think of those 40-yard bombs to Johnny Holton. Like, that's kind of what I got in my mind's eye, right? And same thing with Patterson, man. Like, we talked about him a lot tonight. He's not the guy that's going to go out and run all kinds of, crazy posts and comebacks and all the route tree. But if you can get him to, he's not going to double move a guy, but if you could get him to put one move on a guy and then burn him, that's all we need, right? Create space and then use his body to box out defenders. I think there's definitely an opportunity for that. But you can't do any of that unless you start it with Marshawn. Because if the Chiefs can just sit back on their heels and just play everything underneath, then I don't think we're going to have without Crabtree, well, we're going to have Crabtree back, but without Cooper to really kind of have enough of a threat to, to really to make them respect anything deep, then they're just gonna keep everything in front of them and just play it that way. So if Marshawn gets the ball running, get the defenders moving up to the line of scrimmage, that's really what's going to separate us. And really, dude, if he gets it going early, if we see him bust off another beast mode type run for 20, 30, 40 yards, whatever, that's how huge that's going to be. That's going to deflate that stupid loud fake crowd with all their piped in noise and all that garbage. That's something that I think is really key, and I think the Raiders definitely have the ability to do that.
The Raiders, love and hate him. Okay, Chiefs defense. I'll touch on your point, and then I'll make my third point.
Okay.
They are third in the NFL in rush yards given up. So they're the third worst team in rush yards. They give up 129.4 rush yards per game, which is great because if you're playing in a hostile environment, remember last year we didn't have Murray for this game, and we missed him, right? Remember we missed Murray, we couldn't establish the run, and we lost. This is what you need Lynch for. This is what you need that big old offensive line for. Get rid of the zone blocking. You pick him, you pick him, you pick him, you freaking sit on him. Let's go. Let's run this ball down their throats. And the Chiefs are vulnerable against that. However, the Raiders' rushing attack on the year, Murph, through 12 games, is tied for 25th in the league for yards. They're averaging 93.3 yards per game. There's only 8 teams in the entire league who aren't averaging over 100 yards, and the Raiders are one of them. 9 teams, excuse me. So I'm not sure, unless they make a big commitment to do it, that's gonna happen. My third reason why I think that potentially the Raiders will allow the Chiefs to beat them, because there's no way the Chiefs could actually beat them if the Raiders tried. I just can't get myself to say that.
That's okay. You're a good man. You're a good fan, Sonny. You're a good fan.
Yes, good fan. Not an analyst, not a writer, not nothing else. Just a fan.
So it's a couple
All
of
right,
schmucks.
Murph. We have a problem here. We got a problem with second 5 here.
Uh-oh.
The Raiders on the year. The Chiefs on the year. I'm sorry. The Chiefs have 10 of these, and the league leader has 12. What are they?
Interceptions.
False. Chiefs offense here. Chiefs offense.
Chiefs offense.
10 of these, and the league leader has 12. What is it?
Games with a running back that has gone for 100 yards.
False.
Okay.
The Chiefs have 10 pass plays over 40 yards.
Oh, yeah.
10 pass plays over 40 yards, as evidenced by Tyreek Hill twice within about 10 minutes. It was like, don't you remember from 10 minutes ago, Claiborne, you dummy? It wasn't his fault. They put him in.
Who's leading? The Saints?
I don't know. I'm not even watching the game.
No.
Detroit Lions.
Who's got 12? Who?
The Lions.
The Lions?
Lions have 12, and then the Steelers have 11.
Well, that makes sense with the Steelers because of Schuster and Brown. I guess the Lions must be all Golden Tate, huh?
All right, they got 11. Anyway, okay. So keep that
interesting.
in mind.
Good stat, Sonny. Good stat.
Chiefs are third in the league, and they have 10 plus 40 yards per game, right?
Okay.
20 yards per game. Chiefs are 10th. They're at 41. League leaders is Saints at 54. But then you go to the defensive side of the ball, and here's where it's bad. The Raiders are 6th in the league at giving up the most 40-yard passes per game. They've given up 9. They've given up 9 on the year. The only saving grace is the Chiefs are tied for first. They've given up 12 per year on the year, right? So, but the sad part is the Chiefs have a deep threat. I don't know if the Raiders have a deep threat, Murph. We've seen.
Well, we have guys that are fast enough to be deep threats.
Raiders have 8 on the year, so a difference of 2. They're tied for 9th. But I'm telling you, man, after watching Tyreek Hill, what he did this last game, I don't know if that's going to give them more confidence or what. And knowing that Pagano likes to blitz a lot more than Norton does, are they going to catch us in a cover 1, cover 0, with Hill streaking over the top, with Kelsey going down the middle, so our safety is forced to, cover one or the other? And we all know Reggie Nelson isn't good at taking proper angles. Can't you just see Tyreek Hill torching us deep down the field as much as it's going to,
I have a surefire solution to that. Okay, so you said cover 1. What is cover 1?
Cover 1's 1 deep safety over the top.
What's cover 2?
2 deep safeties over the top.
Cover 3?
3 deep safeties over there, or 2 corners and a guy in the middle.
Cover 4?
4 play quarters. One guy has a quarter of the field.
All right, and you have to at least rush 3 guys. So cover 8, Raiders. You're welcome.
Cover 9. Cover 9. It's in Madden. We know it's no worse. It's in Madden.
Yeah. Get Autry out there in coverage down low. Have him spy Alex Smith in case he wants to take off and run.
Yeah, I'm not super worried about Kelsey. He didn't beat us last time very bad,
Which is surprising because that's our freaking kryptonite is tight end. Yeah. So, because what's his name? Not Melvin Ingram, but what's his name? Something Ingram from the Giants.
Ingram, and he's small. He wasn't even that great.
Yeah.
And he tore us up. So I don't know. I'm not super worried. I don't think Kelsey's gonna be the game breaker. What's gonna be the game breaker is if we come out, have a great rushing attack, take a 12-yard or 12-play, 7-minute drive. Lynch carries the ball 9 times for 40 yards and gets the touchdown, and then boom, Chiefs get the ball, 1 play to Hill, and all of a sudden they just do what we did in 12 minutes.
Yes.
That is so deflating. And on top of that, it's gonna wear out our defense, gonna wear out our, and it's just a recipe for disaster.
It's gonna fire that crowd up, man. That crowd is gonna be going nuts if they get those explosive plays like that. I'm with you 100%. And that I'd look if I'm John Pagano, I'd much rather get beat by Travis Kelce than Tyreek Hill, because Travis Kelce is going to beat you 10, 12, 15 yards at a time. Hill will beat you 40 to 50 yards and touchdowns. Because once he gets on the other side of your defense, it's over.
Toast,
and while
dude.
Alex Smith is not, he's not Tom Brady, he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Ben Roethlisberger, he's not known for these big touch passes down deep. But when you have a guy running 5 yards open, dude, you just throw it up there and he goes and gets it. So, I mean, it's not like you got to have Dan Marino back there to throw him open. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you. Like, we'll take Kelce down low way before Hill. So shut him down, play the double coverage on him, play him over the top, and let him work down underneath.
Think about this. Remember the Patriots game? What were we seeing Alex Smith do? He was airing the ball out, right? He was throwing it deep to Hill. Throwing it to, I forget the guy. He was throwing it deep. What do we see this last game against the Jets? Throwing it deep to Hill, right? And so obviously that's something they do. They've been doing it all year. They're one of the top teams who's effective at it. And if the Raiders don't pay special attention to Hill on every play, meaning a safety over the top, guaranteed no matter what on every play, he's going to burn us, dude. And that could be the backbreaker at their place in a playoff-type game, is that the big play. You cannot give up the big play. I think what did we do against Kelce last time? We had Irvin just check him. Remember? Every time Kelce came over the middle,
it was beautiful.
Was checking him the whole entire time. We totally took out Kelce.
And
do that same thing, safety up the top, and I think we'll be okay.
That's it. Play the DBs back and then hit them down low. And look, it's Alex Smith, so he's not shy to check the ball down. He's not shy to throw, screens and dump passes to safety valves and all that kind of stuff. That's what he does. That's what he's known for. And frankly, I think that's his comfort zone. So, look, and we know that. So, but I'm with you. I'd rather, look, you don't want to die by 1,000 cuts, but it's better than to die by, one big freaking, broadsword to the chest, right? Like, I mean, you got to be able to manage it. And look, you cannot manage the deep pass. If you give that up, it's over, right? It's one play, it's done. You can manage the dink and dunk stuff. You could be by doing things like Irvin checking Kelce. And this is what gets me to my third reason here is that it feels like now, I don't know if it's the Pagano effect. I don't know if it was the offenses and the quarterbacks we played. Frankly, it doesn't matter. All I know is that the Raiders are back to being home run hitters on defense. And when you look at the turnovers, especially that strip sack that Khalil Mack made, I mean, there has been a handful of plays in my life watching all of football, not just Raider football, but all of football, where you look at it and you're like, that was a pretty play. Right? Like you just marvel at the athleticism that he's done something, there's lots of people that can run fast and catch passes downfield. There's lots of guys that can throw it far. There's lots of guys that can do special things. But I think when you start combining strength and speed and athleticism and football brain and like an awareness of on the field and an awareness of the football, right? Like there's so many players that like, how many times do you watch a game and you're like looking at a guy in the secondary and you're like, get your head around, like, that awareness of the ball. Khalil Mack is so freaking aware of the football while he's this, this mayhem, this chaotic pass rush it's chaotic, but he's fully under control. And during all of that, he has this awareness of the football. It's crazy, man. It's so cool. I'm so glad he's on our team because it's so fun to watch. And I don't think I'm over dramatizing to say it's a beautiful thing. If you're a Raider fan and you're a football fan, seeing a play like that was just like, wow, like that. I mean, I cheered more at that play this year than I have all year long. And that was just, I mean, maybe at the Kansas City game, that was a pretty big deal with them scoring late like that. But just absolutely gorgeous play. So if we're back to hitting home runs on defense, and if we can by chance, what would happen if we got an interception, right? Like, that would be such a huge momentum shift and a spark to the team. Can you imagine on the road in Arrowhead, to pick off Alex Smith, who doesn't frankly throw a lot of interceptions, to pick him off and to take one back to that. You know what that would do to that team and to that fan base and establish the Raiders early? I mean, it would be beautiful. So I think that there's an opportunity for them to do that. When you look at the playmakers like Mack and Bowman and those guys, I think that we got a good shot, Sonny. I think that if we're getting back to playing that crazy hair on fire, Pagano calls it fast, don't think, just play. If that's what he's bringing to these guys and they're getting back to doing that, then I don't think there's any reason why we can't go up there and get up in Alex Smith's grill and get the ball out of his hands.
Murf, if nothing else, and it was said on our YouTube chat by Ron and Dakota Raider, who are stalwarts, hanging with us till the end.
Dang, you guys rock, man. That's awesome. Appreciate you.
How badass is it to play a meaningful game in December against your arch rival once again?
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful. On the road? Come on, man.
The story
you know what it's like? Everybody got fired up about
it itself is good. It's great.
Everybody got fired up about the rematch of Tom Brady. Man, forget that. I know it would have been nice and poetic and yada, yada, yada. Well, this is the game. This is the game we want to win. This is the quarterback we want to go in there and thump around a little bit. These are the guys we want to embarrass. We want to embarrass Marcus Peters. We want to embarrass Tyreek Hill, right? We want to embarrass Alex Smith and Kelsey and these guys that have had amazing success. Dude, I burned into as an awful image into my brain is that pick six that Derek Carr threw, that Marcus Peters took it back to the house in Oakland and celebrated with his people that were there with him at the game to watch him play where he grew up. If that don't piss you off as a Raider fan and you don't want to see them get back at that guy, then I don't know. And especially after this year with the fight and all that stuff, my gosh, man. If this don't get your blood boiling as a Raider fan, then I pray for you.
This is it, dude. This is what you want. Who cares about the record? Who cares about what's happened in the past? Take off our expectations. Take off what's happened. Take off the pay. Who cares? Right now, this week, the Raiders and the Chiefs are tied for first place, and if we beat the Chiefs, we move into a tie for first place. If the Chargers win, we knock them out of first place, we move them into second place, and we essentially cement ourselves at the top of the division. That's badass, Murph. We control our own destiny. If the Raiders win out from here, the Raiders are in the playoffs, and they won the AFC West. And that is always the goal of any team going into any season. It's win your freaking division. Because if you win your division, you're in the playoffs. And that's it. That's all that matters. And this is freaking rivalry week against the Chiefs. Yeah, we have the Chargers coming up. Yeah, we have the Cowboys. Yeah, those are all cool, fun games. But this is the freaking Chiefs in Arrowhead in a meaningful game in December. You're right. If this doesn't get you pumped, check your fandom, man, because this is an important game.
I got my Raiders boxers hanging low, covering the crack, because I'm listening to Raiders Fan Radio, a podcast by a couple of fans, Sonny and Murf, 4 Raiders fans who are the only fans that matter.
All right, Murf, it's the butt end of our show now, and on the tail end of each show, you bless us with your black hole segment where you take a deep dive into the annals of the internet. You stay up at 4 a.m. You just typed on what was the score of the game in 1967 against the Raiders versus the Chiefs. The next thing you know, 3 hours later, you're watching like Laverne and Shirley reruns, and just the randomest stuff happens when you take a deep dive into the black hole of the internet. So fortunate for us here on Raiders Fan Radio, you divulge every week what your deep dive in the black hole of the internet is. And so without any further ado, Let's listen to that right now.
All right, sounds good.
Murf's Black Hole of the Internet.
A journey that begins where everything ends.
Sonny, I started off this week wanting to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Oakland Raiders winning the 1967 AFL Championship. We've talked about this game before in the past on our show, about them frankly embarrassing the Houston Oilers in the championship game and winning their first AFL championship. Of course, they went on and lost to the Packers in the Super Bowl that year. But this was the first time that the Raiders had an opportunity to establish their dominance as one of the prominent players in the NFL, or in the AFL, anyways. And they did it, and they did it decisively. And so, we're coming up on the Christmas season, so there's a lot of Christmas black hole stories that I want to get to later. So I wanted to start off with this, and much like a lot of the internet black holes that I find myself in, I start one place, Sonny, but then I end up somewhere completely different. So to start off with, I found some highlights from that 1967 season and from the highlight reel. So I'm going to play this opening clip, and you tell me, first off, it's cool to hear it because it's the opening clip of the season of the highlight reel, but see if you recognize the voice, and you tell me if you recognize the voice.
Opening the season at home with convincing wins over Denver and Boston, the Raiders immediately found themselves in a critical must-win situation. The undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, defending league champions, came to the Coliseum. The early season showdown brought a crowd of more than 50,000.
All right, you recognize that voice talking about the crowd of 50,000?
No. Who's that?
All right, let me give you a couple more. We're going to go on to the next clip. Same guy all the way through. Just keep listening and see if anything clicks with you. So we're going to the second one. This is actually a pretty cool clip because this highlight comes to us in kind of the middle of the year. But the Raiders defense earned a nickname that I previously wasn't familiar with, and he talks about it in this clip.
After their only loss of the season, a 27-14 thumping administered in New York by Joe Namath and the Jets, the Raiders moved on to Buffalo for the second leg of the difficult Eastern Tour. In retrospect, the game was perhaps the most pivotal of the season. Another loss would have dropped Oakland 2 full games behind unbeaten San Diego. On the other hand, a victory would put the club's record at 4-1 and keep pressure on the Chargers. A record crowd was in War Memorial Stadium to see former Buffalo quarterback Darryl LaMonica duel veteran Bills signal caller Jack Kemp. Instead, they saw a battle between two outstanding defensive units. Now nicknamed the 11 Angry Men by a New York journalist, the Oakland defense put on an awesome display.
The 11 Angry Men, Sonny. Have you ever heard that?
No.
That's amazing.
Cool.
It's a great nickname, cool, yeah. Man. Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that was awesome. All right, so there's quite a few more. I'm going to skip over a few because I want to just kind of a cherry I want to put on the top of this one. So we'll fast forward. The Raiders go on. They win the West. It came down to one of the last games of the year. The Raiders had to win and the Chargers had to lose. The Raiders won. The Chargers lost. So the Raiders win the West. They won the AFL West. There was 2 divisions back then, and they won it. And then they went on to the championship game. And of course, that's where they played the Houston Oilers and beat them like 40-7 or something like that, and had like 6 sacks. It was crazy. The Raiders just absolutely destroyed them. And so here's some highlights from that game.
On New Year's Eve 1967, pro football's young and dynamic organization, the Silver and Black Oakland Raiders, played the Houston Oilers for the championship of the 8-year-old American Football League. Pre-game speculation centered around the question of Oakland's ability to score on a defense that had allowed the fewest points of any team in pro football. On the other hand, could the 11 Angry Men check the freight train rushes of fullback Hoyle Granger and Woody Campbell?
I love it. It sounds like a freaking, like the old newsreels from like the 40s almost.
Yeah,
it's like this is,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so cool.
I love that name, 11 Angry Men. That's freaking cool, dude.
We need to bring that back, dude. If we get some playmakers on defense, we need to bring that one back. All right, so then I got 2 more clips total. This is the last one from 67. This is where I was like, that's who that is. When I heard the kind of the rhetoric and some of the affinity that he spoke about the Raiders with, I'm like, oh yeah, that's who that is.
With the winning of their first AFL championship, the Raiders reached a plateau. In 1963, Al Davis, now managing owner, came to Oakland dedicated to the development of the Raiders as the finest organization in professional sports. Excellent progress has been made. Now, in 1968, the Silver and Black again prepare to assume their role as the standard bearer of this great East Bay community. The rivalries of the American Football League have become fierce and violent. They have turned friendships into hostilities. 1968 will be the most difficult in the club's 9-year history. The Chargers, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Oilers, and the rest of the AFL teams will be taking their best shot at the champions, the Raiders of Oakland. It is more difficult to defend a title than to win it. Al Davis has said the challenge ahead is a tremendous one. But no matter how great that challenge, the Oakland Raiders intend to meet it, as usual, with pride and poise.
I want to say that's probably the first time that we've ever heard, recorded at least, pride and poise.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, huh?
That's cool. Is that Bill King?
There you go. Bingo.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And see, it took me a little bit too. I'm like, oh crap, because Bill King was so young back then, man. And so, all right, so that
when
brings
did
us
he start?
You started with the A's, so what are the A's? 68. I'm being a bad fan here. What year was the?
I don't know. I didn't think he was. I mean, I guess we could look it up on the internet, but I didn't know he was there that long. Like I thought he was just there like 70s and 80s. You know,
well,
up to what 90s or.
Yeah, see, I always remember from the Warriors, obviously, but mostly the A's games. When my dad was like your dad was a carpenter, and so we would do. I would help him like with side jobs and stuff on the weekend, and my dad always had the A's games on, and it was always Bill King, and I was like. You know, you hear a lot of stories from people about like, you know, whether it was Jack Buck or, you know, oh my gosh, Vince Scully, you know, the people that are like the voices of your youth, you know, you go to sleep listening to the games. That was me, man. I was one of those kids, man. And Bill King was that voice. I didn't really associate him with the Raiders, not nearly as much as I did the A's. Like that was more it. But yeah, but I don't know when he started. But he must have been around there, and then they must have used the local broadcasters to do those highlight reels for the different teams in the AFL. And so I thought that was pretty cool to not only hear that and revisit that amazing Raiders football team, but then to hear Bill King. So the last thing I had is that because of Bill King and because we kind of ended up, you know, always the black hole takes you somewhere that you didn't expect. Well, going into it, I was going to talk about this team winning their 50th anniversary of this championship. But then I got on this kick of Bill King, and Sonny, it reminded me of the best call, maybe the best call in football ever. I mean, it's certainly on the Mount Rushmore as a Raider fan. It's on the Mount Rushmore of great calls. Look, we have been blessed with not only Bill King, but Greg Papa has given us some amazing calls over the years. But this is definitely on the short list. And I'm talking about the Holy Roller from 1978, Raiders on the road in San Diego, 10 seconds left on the clock, down by 6 points. And this is the call live from Bill King.
The crowd takes up a chant of defense. Robisky and Banaszak are the backs. Slot right, Branch inside. Bradshaw, Stabler back. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can't. The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is ruled a fumble. Casper is recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does. There's nothing real in the world anymore. The Raiders won the football game. The Chargers are standing, looking at each other. They don't believe it. Nobody believes it. I don't know if the Raiders believe it. It's not real. 52,000 people minus a few lonely Raider fans are stunned. A man would be a fool to ever try and write a drama and make you believe it. This one will be relived forever.
That's freaking cool, dude.
Is that money, dude? That gives me chills, man.
Zany. The most zany play. Zany. Must sound zany. No, that's
Matt is on the field. They tell him to get your big butt out of here. He does.
Big butt out of here. I forgot about that. That's legit, dude.
Oh, it's the best, man. God bless Bill King, man. I'm telling you. We went.
So do you think Papa is? We're two dummies 20 years from now are going to be talking about Papa's call against the Chiefs when the Raiders had to score 4 different times to freaking beat the Chiefs, or Woodson's interception in the end zone? Wasn't it Woodson who picked it off in the end zone?
Yeah.
On Alabama, in the 10 men.
Oh,
on the field,
no. Was it? No, it wasn't Woodson. No, it was like Stanford route or something. No, it was Huff. It was Michael Huff.
Yeah.
24. It was 24. That's why you're thinking of Woods. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you think,
yes.
Because it seems like the Holy Roller, Ghost of the Post, the Heidi game, all those things like happened in the 70s were all these crazy games. But they still happen today, kind of. The Raiders still find themselves in these crazy games. And Tuck Rule obviously was, maybe one of the biggest. It's kind of equivalent to the Immaculate Reception, so to say. But you got to think that Chiefs game is going to go down there somewhere, the most recent Chiefs game. And then the one where we beat them, right? How about when we beat them when we were 0-10 and Carr throws a touchdown pass? We finally beat them, to kind of, all right, we're okay, we're here.
Papa had some great calls back in the early 2000s too. I think of Charlie Garner taking off and beating the Jets, and like he's I think so. I think that of course you and I haven't lived in the Bay Area for a long time, so we don't listen to Papa, on the weekends. And now with the advent of DirecTV and all this, being able to watch the games on your freaking phone, for crying out loud, pretty much the national broadcast is all you end up with. But back in the day, of course, see when I was in my heyday of my growing up, the Raiders were gone. The Raiders were in LA, so we weren't listening to Bill King. Bill King was doing the A's and he was doing the Warriors. He wasn't doing the Raiders, because the Raiders were gone. And then when the Raiders came back, and of course, because Bill King stayed with them down in LA. Bill went down or used to do the games for Los Angeles. And then when they came back, we got Greg Papa. And so, and at that point I had left the Bay Area, so I wasn't living there anymore. So I didn't get to spend my Sundays listening to Greg Papa. But I promise you this, there are millions of people that do. So to answer your question, heck yeah, man. And I even wrote it down here, since we've been talking. I'm going to, again, with all the Christmas stuff coming up, there's some other unique things that I want to get to, but we're definitely going to feature some Greg Papa stuff, because he's one of the all-time greatest. I mean, when it comes to guys that, and I'm biased, it's like most people are that are listening, but I mean, think about some of the, the guys that are synonymous with your football team. Bill King was synonymous with the A's, and Vince Scully and Jack Buck and all those guys I talked about. But how many guys are synonymous with football? They got like Myron Pope, right, from Pittsburgh, and there's a handful of others, but Papa's on that short list, dude. He's got to be top 5, I would imagine. So yeah, people hold him with that kind of reverence, I think.
I would hope so. He has such a unique voice and such a reverence for the Raiders. He's a Raiders guy. Did you hear what Amy Trask said over the weekend? How she made a comment about how she had other invites to go work for other teams and stuff like that, and she said a lot of her coworkers, colleagues they would go and they'd wear the Chiefs uniform or wear the Eagles uniform, or put on the Broncos hats if they went and worked for those teams. But she goes, I couldn't do that. She goes, I'm a Raider, and I think Papa kind of, to me anyway, Papa has that same vibe. Like, he's a Raiders fan. He's a Raiders fan who's doing something he loves. And I think that's a different, because you hear Raider announcers all across the country, but when you hear it from a guy who has passion and loves the team that he's doing it for, I think that just puts off a different vibe, like hearing them get excited when something crazy happens. That's the coolest thing ever,
Yeah, listening to Bill King in that clip, and he's losing his voice because he's just so enthusiastic about it. It's just, you're right, man. It's amazing. It's good stuff. So we have the teams that we root for. We have been, like I said, we've been blessed with some pretty amazing announcers over the years. So so good stuff. So glad to feature some Bill King on the show. We've done a lot of John Facenda, and that's our first dip in the water with Bill King, and we'll definitely do some pop as well.
Good stuff, Murf, as always. Good stuff. And I believe that takes us to the end of our marathon show now. It seems like I think this is pushing 2 hours here.
Right at 2 hours. Can I play one more? Can I play one more oddball clip, though? I know.
What, I got Bill King?
No. From local Raider Nation, that born and raised in the Bay Area, lived there through into my 20s before I moved, and now I live in Tennessee. I live in Nashville. And the Raiders, due to a beat writer in the San Francisco Bay Area for the Chronicle, due to a tweet that said the Oakland Raiders, after the departure of the Raiders, the city of Oakland will look to other NFL teams to fill the vacancy of the team, and they were looking at the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Did you hear this story?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, so I got a clip for you of what they said on the Nashville News that morning.
I thought it was ridiculous when I heard it there. It started with this tweet about the Coliseum eyeing as the Titans as maybe a future tenant once the Raiders go to Vegas. Now, they later clarified they were only interested in the Titans if the team were up for sale. So the Titans responded. They put out this grass fire pretty quick, saying the Titans organization is not looking to move to Oakland or any other city, and the team is not for sale. The city of Oakland will have to look elsewhere for a new NFL tenant. I believe the meeting that they had in Oakland, they mentioned both the Jaguars and the Titans there as well. Okay.
So listen, whether it's Calvin Johnson coming to the Raiders or the Titans relocating to Oakland, let's just, as Raider Nation, don't buy into a lot of this stuff that you see. Use critical thinking. We haven't talked about this in quite a while, but look at all the sources and use your brain and think about this kind of stuff. And don't take these tweets and these silly stories at face value. Now, look, it's one thing for somebody to speculate on a story. You speculate on where you think John Gruden's going to end up based on some evidence or whatever. That's fair. But to just throw this stuff out, oh, Calvin Johnson's thinking about coming back and playing for the Raiders. No, he's not. Oh, the Oakland Raiders are looking at replacing the team with the Oakland City of Oakland's looking to replace the team with the Tennessee Titans. No, they're not. And if they are, the Tennessee Titans aren't looking to move there. So you know what I mean? Like, just use all the tools that you have at your disposal and look out there at the world and consider all the sources, because literally this story was laughed at in Nashville. It was just goofy.
Okay, you done?
Now I'm done. Yes.
Okay.
Jeez.
You sure you don't want to go 2 hours and 30 minutes, Murph? We my wife's just sitting there lonely. You sure?
Hey, Sonny, I do want to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Not quite. Not
ho, 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 ho! Santa Claus is here. Huddle up.
Is that Gruden?
Yeah, I found that today too.
They need to play that against Philly. They need to play that against Philly, because we all know Philly hates freaking Santa Claus.
I know. Yeah. There you go. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, I'm going to save that one for the Christmas episode, but I thought you'd get a kick out of it.
All right. That concludes the first ever video stream.
There's probably nobody left.
Hopefully, they won't be as long. This is pretty late.
This is a marathon, dude.
I'm tired of looking at Brady in my background, even though I flipped him off a couple times. That was kind of fun. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. We hope to do a video live stream every time we do the podcast now. We typically record the podcast on Monday evenings around 7:30 Pacific time. We start. We take Tuesday to edit it, and then we drop it on Wednesday. So if you want to get the jump on the podcast for the week, then come on ahead and watch the live stream. Shout out to Dakota Raider and to Ron Stratton and also to Bubba Carlson. These guys, Murph, from the get-go, have I think stayed with us the whole entire show.
Man, you guys rock. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Ron Alliance is Ron Stratton. Dakota Raider both heard their voicemails and stuff, dude.
That's awesome.
And newcomer to the show, Bubba Carlson, he's been hanging out as well. So appreciate you guys staying with us, hanging out. Loved it. Loved the video stream. Hopefully we'll do this more. We'll start advertising it or broadcasting it ahead of time, or not broadcasting, bad choice of words here, promoting the live stream. We weren't sure if it was going to work, so we didn't want to promote it too heavily tonight, just in case it didn't work. But now we got everything dialed in, so we'll start promoting that more. So every Monday night, unless the Raiders are playing Monday night, we'll be doing the live stream, doing the podcast, and then on Wednesday it'll come out as a traditional podcast. And just another way to get you guys involved, for us to be involved with you guys. This is Raiders Fan Radio, and we just have a good time talking Raiders and stuff like that. And Murph, we made it through the doldrums. I was sounding like Yayo several weeks ago, but we're coming out of the doldrums now. There's hope once again. We're coming into the week against our arch rival, the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. And first place is at stake. The playoffs are on the line. You couldn't ask for anything better. Who cares about the records? First place is at hand, and that's freaking awesome. So again, thank you to Kevin, the Raider Nerd.
Yes,
on Twitter,
great job, Kevin.
Phoenix. Go give him a follow. Give us all of his podcasts a follow, and good stuff there. As always, our website is RaidersFanRadio.com. I am on Twitter at SonnyRFR. Murf's on Twitter at _Murf. The phone number you can call in is 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346, just like Murf does it there, Uncle Mosh. And call us in, leave us a voicemail after the games. Appreciate everybody's interaction on Facebook. Go like our page, Raiders Fan Radio. Also, go like our friends, RaiderRamble.com. They do a lot of good writing over there. Micah was on last week from RaiderRamble.com, did a great job, had some good feedback from you guys about him. And so I might have him or somebody else from Raider Ramble on the upcoming future episodes. Anything else, Murph, before we go?
Yes. What am I wearing right now?
Murph, are you wearing the latest T-shirt from Raiders Fan Radio that is gilded and is double cotton, a heavy shirt? Is that what you're wearing? A little short on the sleeves. Sleeves look a little short, or your white shirts are a little long.
There we go.
But are you wearing a schmedium, Murph? What you doing?
I'm wearing a double schmedium. Yeah.
Double schmedium. Raiders Fan Radio T-shirts are now available for purchase on our website. Just click on the guy wearing the T-shirt. They're $11.75 plus taxes and shipping, which brings a grand total to $19.90. No matter if you live in Fairbanks, Alaska, or right next door to Murph. It's going to cost $7 to ship it. So $19.90 gets you a shirt, and appreciate the love and support there. They're a nice shirt. I like them. I'm a little biased, but they're good. I think the picture of both of us. The pictures look good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a legit shirt, guys. It's not like a cheesy, whatever kind of printed thing. Like, it's a legit screen print shirt, man. It's cool, man. In fact, I'm looking at the stack of boxes for the first orders that have come in. So thank you to all of you that have already bought a shirt. And please help support it. It's just one of the ways that you can help support our podcast. Also iTunes and all that good stuff. But yeah, get a T-shirt, man. They're cheap. Like, you get a T-shirt for less than $20, like, that's a good thing. It'd be a Secret Santa to a Raider fan that you like, or you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So thanks to those of you that have bought one, and thanks again to those that will buy one. We appreciate you.
Bubba says he needs one in his life. I agree, Bubba. You need one, and probably everybody you know needs one living out in Minnesota. I also want to say, Murph, the skull imagery looked really good. We had the Mayo Clinic. We actually went down to the Mayo Clinic when we were in Oakland. That was last year we were in Oakland, and we had our brain scanned, and we had our brains and our skull images scanned to fit this. And had us kind of do it like this, so they could actually get an accurate portrayal. And looks good. I can definitely tell who I am. I can tell who you are, and so that's good stuff. So I appreciate how that turned out.
Yeah.
All right, that's it, Murph. Hopefully next week we come back. We're talking all about the Raiders' win against the Chiefs. We'll be 7-6, first place. Everything will be great, and then we're talking about taking on the Cowgirls. Like, this is it. 3 of the next 4 on the road. All big games from here. All big boy football from here on out, and it'll be fun. So until then, it's Raider Nation, wherever, forever.
We can't have a dude that looks better than my sister, and she's hot.